Hello, I'm Ray Bradshaw and this is a Scottish Football Podcast. All the news, views and analysis you need on Tuesday the 10th of February. And there's a small matter of a massive Edinburgh Derby.
He might be back on it here. Bowie's at the edge of the box. Chance to shoot. Scores! 3-0! 3-0 Hibernian!
Huge match at Tynecastle with the visitors desperate to close the gap and the league leaders are desperate to get back on track after last week's disappointment.
Outswinger, header, goal! St Mirren have no goal! It's Miguel Freckleton! That could be a massive goal at the bottom and the top of the Premiership.
Can Hearts return to winning ways? And are Aberdeen finally going to appoint a new manager after 37 days?
Aberdeen have sacked manager Jimmy Tilleen after a 5-match winless run. The Dons are 8th in the Scottish Premiership and Sweet Tilleen, who won the Scottish Cup with Aberdeen, leaves after 18 months.
We've got all the Scottish football angles covered right here.
The Scottish Football Podcast from BBC Sports Scotland.
Yes, hello and welcome to the podcast. I think we're all looking forward to this Edinburgh Derby tonight. For balance in true BBC style, we've got one former Jambo, one former Hibs, so no one can accuse us of bias. First up, we've got Scott Allan, former Hibs, Celtic. We can go through all of the clubs. Scott, how are you, Scott? You doing well?
I'm good, thanks, mate.
Back-to-back wins for East Kilbride. How's things down in League 2? Are you still enjoying it?
Yeah, you obviously enjoy it more when you win games. So a 2-0 away victory at Edinburgh City at the weekend. That was a big win for us. So we moved to we're away at Annan on Saturday. So just hopefully keep winning games.
So even as a coach, do you get a win bonus?
No.
That's awful, isn't it? That's
the thing. That's a thing of the past, I think. Down there.
What's the point in winning then? We're also joined by Robbie Neilson, former Hearts, Dundee United manager, Hearts player, over in Belgium just now. Robbie, how's life over in Belgium?
All good, Ray, thanks. Yes, looking forward to the game tonight. I'll be tuning in from sunny Belgium.
What's the demand for Scottish football over there? Like, see when you're chatting to the players at training this morning, will anyone bring up the fact that there's an Edinburgh Derby tonight?
They probably won't know the Edinburgh Derby's on, but they actually know a lot of the clubs. And the thing about, and I've spoken about this before, they love the passion of Scottish football or British football. You know, the Belgian Dutch football is very, I wouldn't say it's passionless, but it's more technical, tactical and stuff like that. But they just love the blood and thunder. So they do know a lot about it.
Right, I was going to ask you a question there, but let's get into it actually in a bit because there's plenty to get into it. But this match at Tynecastle tonight is huge. First thing I was going to ask you, Robbie, is can Hearts stop getting men sent off? What is this? Is this a mindset? What is it?
I know it's been crazy, to be honest with you, but they've managed to pick up a lot of points over the course of it, and it's started that kind of siege mentality. But I know, obviously, last week was the change in that. So, yeah, if they're going to continue the way they're going, I think they're going to need to, obviously, Derek will need to speak about it, you know, and try and keep a lid on things because there's been majority of things have been. Last week's Halkett's was, it's a difficult one for him. He's got to make the challenge, but the ones before that have been kind of lunging tackles, Beningame. They've really got to try and keep a lid on it, and especially tonight in such a big game. So, yeah, it's hard because you want the boys to be physical and strong, but then there's obviously a line they can't cross. So they've got to try and get a wrap on it, that's for sure.
Do you think playing for 10 men for quite a long time, Robbie, contributes to injuries? Do you think that's just a coincidence?
It definitely has an influence on it because it's a bigger physical load. You know, I think that the mentality when they were picking up points when it happened into 10 men was huge for them because it really brought everyone together and had that siege mentality. You know, everyone's against us. When you go against St Mirren and you lose the game after it, it's a different story. You know, so I think the number of players that they've got injured recently, obviously Shanklin, Cammy Devlin. I think Beningame was out for a wee bit at the start of the season as well. You know, when you're continually playing these players, you know, you're every single week, you know, big games, you know, going right to the last minute, it can eventually have an influence on the injury side of things. So potentially, yeah. So
Scott, what about you for tonight? Do you think the next two games decides Hearts' season, really?
It just depends. It just depends on how the other teams round about them going. By all accounts, Rangers are the only team that have been really consistent since Danny Rowe came in. Yes, Celtic under Martin O'Neill, but the Wilfred Nancy reign really damaged their title hopes for me. Obviously, the way Celtic won the game at the weekend, they'll now get that feeling of a bounce to get that equaliser so late on. New players coming in, you definitely get a bounce off that. But it's a huge game for Hearts, there's no getting away from it. If they can, there'll be two teams. I'm looking at Rangers and Hearts here. If Hearts are to win tonight against Hibs and then beat Rangers at the weekend, and if Rangers can beat Motherwell, which is a really difficult game, and then come through Hearts, both of them will think they're favourites. So it's a big couple of weeks. You look at that patch that Celtic are going to have of away games, really difficult in a short space of time. But I think with Derek McInnes and Hearts, it's about just, I know it's dead cliche, but it's a game at a time. Just tick this one off, tick this one off. The funny thing, you're talking about discipline, I'm sure Derek McInnes last year had the same problem at Kilmarnock for a bit and came out and spoke about it, and he was introducing fines. And that's just, you're playing on the edge. You want your team to play on the edge, and unfortunately for Hearts, it came off the end of some decisions that haven't went their way, and that's football. They came through it, but the law averages to do that 3 times in the space of a month and come away with 9 points. It's very difficult. But it's going to be a difficult game against Hibs tonight.
See, from a playing point of view, Scott, so I know from playing amateur that when you lose some big players, psychologically, it does affect you. When you turn up on a Saturday morning and your big centre-half's still hungover from the night before, it makes you worried. At this level, when Hearts are losing players like Cammy Devlin and Lawrence Shankland, are you just thinking, right, we need to get through these 3 weeks until they can come back? Or do you think Kabore will do enough? What's the mindset?
Yeah, I think as a player, you're looking at your teammates who have come in, the opportunity they've got to go and cement their place in the team and be a part of something that could be historic for Hearts. Not getting away from it, your main focal point, Shankland being out, is a huge loss. But there's guys on the bench who Hearts have spent money on. Aguirre, Kabore, I thought, for as much as he got some criticism against him, and I thought against Dundee United he was fine, he worked hard, took his chances. And in a night like this, listen, it is a derby, so I do think form does go out the window to an extent. You look at the last game at Tynecastle early in the season when Halkett scored the last minute goal. 5 minutes before that, I'm sure Boyle hits the bar from about 4 yards out and it could have went the other way. So it is that sort of fixture.
The Edinburgh Derby's got so much better this season, because sometimes, Robbie, they can be absolutely grim. When you were managing in them, did it have a week?
Scotty was playing.
Yeah. Did it have an extra flavour for you? Like, did you have to do a slightly different team talk to any other game?
I think you do, yeah. The players feel the atmosphere that's coming, and I think for me, the Edinburgh Derby is become probably one of the biggest games in Scotland, because with the restrictionist fans at the Old Firm, it makes it not quite as intense when you go along to the games, you know. So the Edinburgh Derby, the Dundee Derby, when you've got so many fans, opposition fans there, is top level. So I think when you're the build up to the game, you kind of try to keep a lid on it a wee bit with the players, and then when you get to the stadium, that's when you really need to get into them and they start to feel the atmosphere. Because there's no doubting, like, you know, tonight's game's massive for both teams, isn't it? You know, because, you know, what if Hibs got really left to play for this season? Stopping Hearts winning the league. You know, I think if you asked 99% of the Hibs fans, would you want to make Europe or would you want to make sure you stop Hearts winning the league? I think they would pick stopping Hearts winning the league. So these are their big games. This is their opportunity. Hearts are obviously going for the title, so it's a massive game, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I've been chatting to a few Hibs fans recently, and they're all buzzing that Rangers and Celtic might not win the league, and then you see who could win, and then the heart drops. We'll get on to Hibs in a second, but final question about Hearts just now, Robbie, for you. Derek McInnes says there's no extra anxiety after losing to Motherwell, but are we getting carried away with like a Hearts wobble? They've lost 3 games in 90 minutes this season. They're doing exceptionally well. They've lost some big players. Think we're focused on too many negatives for them just now?
Scottish football, mate, innit? That's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
We're not talking about positives. We're not talking about all these the games they've actually won in 90 minutes. We're talking about those 3 that they've lost in 90 minutes. And I think that it's just it's because it's been so long since somebody outside the Old Firm has been in this position. You know, I think the last time was around about maybe January time and somebody was still there. And this year we're like, will they make it to September? Will they make it to Christmas? Will they make it to, you know, the end of January out the window? They're going to lose some players now. They're sitting there, you know, 3 points clear. So they've answered all the questions. And I don't see Rangers and Celtic going on a prolonged run of winning 8, 9, 10 games in a row. So I think this next week for Hearts, you know, obviously the Derby and then going to Ibrox, if they can take maximum points out of that, they're sitting pretty. And then it's can Rangers and Celtic catch up if they get the quality to do that?
Yeah, it's really exciting. If we move to the other side of the city, Scott, Hibs got the win against Dundee United last week, but I think something they've said about Hibs quite a lot this year, it wasn't a vintage performance. They've obviously had lots of new signings. Losing Kieran Bowie made his Serie A debut at the weekend. How do you see a strong finish to the end of the season for Hibs?
Yeah, I definitely think they've strengthened. I think getting the money in from Kieran Bowie, which I thought was fantastic business from Hibs, considering they only signed him for 600k, I'm sure it was, 18 months worth, a few injuries within there. Great start to the season, and a focal point in the Hibs team, but the signings they've brought in, Dane Scarlett for me thought he was excellent against Dundee United. Passlack coming in with a good pedigree. Garen Angia coming in from Copenhagen, so they've managed to fill positions in their team that they probably had to strengthen, and I would say that. So I think Hibs are in a good position. Understand it was a vintage performance against Dundee United, and that's one thing. Looking at the game tonight, if they defend set pieces like that, they'll be in trouble. 2 goals given away from set pieces are really poor from a Hibs point of view, and you would imagine Hearts try to pick up on that and cause them problems. So there is quality in that side. I think when that many players came in and they did make changes against Dundee United, it can be a bit stop-start. But when one of these signings comes in, so the big Croatian comes on the 90 odd minute and get the winner. Like, we're talking about bounces and playing games and winning games with 10 men. It's the same for a last minute goal to get 3 points. So I'm really excited for it. I wouldn't be able to sit here and call how it's going to go just because of the nature of the game. It's a huge opportunity, as Robbie said, for Hibs to go and put a dent in Hearts' title hopes.
Well, that's not good news, because in 2 questions' time I will ask you what you think the score will be, so have a think about that in the time. So hold off on that one. Ask Robbie the question, Scott. I'll ask you it. Asked about managing in the derby, playing in derbies as a player. What's it like? Do you get a wee psychological edge? Do fans come up and talk to you in the week? What is that mindset?
Yeah, I think as a player you're just really aware of how much it means to the fans. I think, and that's the same for both sets of players. And then how my mentality was I wanted to be the player who could really affect that game of football and come away with people saying, yes, it was a derby, yes, it was blood and thunder, but you could put your foot in the ball, show a bit of composure and hopefully a bit of quality within that. So I think for footballers, it's one of the games you really want to embrace, but you really want to affect. It's all well and good playing in it. You want to come out with the right side of the victory, but you want to have a good game. You want to influence it, and that was always the big thing for me.
Robbie, do right backs think like that? Do you think you want to get your foot in the ball and win the game, or are you just thinking, I want to smash someone in the first 2 minutes? What's your mindset?
I was just looking for channel balls in behind territory, Ray. That's it. And a stiffy, tacky stuff in the derby. That's what I won most of them.
I know you mean that as well. For Hibs as well, Scott touched on it about maybe looking a bit ropey at the back. Losing Grant Hanley, he is a guy that will head everything tonight. Do you think Hearts are going to press and maybe Hibs at set pieces just based on that?
Yes, he's a huge player from set plays. As we saw it at the weekend, they're losing 2 goals. And when you start losing goals like that at the end, mentally as a group and even as a coaching staff, you start to worry about it. And sometimes it can spiral a little bit. Do you do extra in training, to try and cover it? Or does that then bring a psychological side where the boys are starting to worry about it? So I think Hanley will be a big, big loss, because not just in the aerial side of it, but just organisationally for them. Massive voice, massive experience. Going into these big games, you want your big players there, so both teams are missing kind of key players for tonight, which again gives the new signs an opportunity. And I think that obviously losing Bowie for Hibs is a big loss, because again that's another physical size you've got both defensively and attacking wise at set plays, and you got that. But as Scotty said, I'm looking forward to the boy Scarlett coming in and seeing what he's like. He's played the last couple, but he's got a good stock in England, a wee bit different type for Bowie. But it'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, I doubt you two play Football Manager because you're not losers like me, but he is very good in that. Scott, the question I said I was going to ask you, who's going to come out on top tonight? What's your prediction?
Really hard one to call. Do you want me to be boring, go for a draw?
It's your choice, mate. I don't choose. It's up to you. What are you going for?
I think it's got a draw written all over it tonight. I really do. I think Hibs have shown they can go there and win games over the last few years, and there was a time where they couldn't. I think Hibs' performance in the last game against Hearts at Easter Road, they created a lot of chances. Yes, Hearts had a push last 20 minutes and could have get back into the game, but I just feel I feel this is a big turning point in Hibs season as well tonight. So I think they'll go. I think it'll be a draw.
Robbie, are you going to be boring as well? Or are you going to pick an actual result? What are you thinking?
I'm going to go 4-3, Ray, just to be on that positive in this podcast this morning. 4-3 to the Jambos. There you go.
Let's look at Aberdeen next, where the Pittodrie club are still searching for a new manager. So this is something that has just been rumbling on. I had a look earlier, 37 days since Jimmy Tilleen was sacked. The leading name, I saw it on his Wikipedia, actually, it's been edited to say he's currently at Aberdeen. Eric Hornland, the leading candidate, the former Brand Bergen, St Etienne manager. But now there's talk of he's unsure if he's coming, talk's still ongoing. Scott, is it messy, these 37 days, or is it a good thing that clubs are actually taking their time and trying to go through to get the right man?
Yeah, I think the fans are now starting to ask the questions when are they going to see the new manager. There's a lot of talk about Holland, as you said there, nothing quite yet. But fans are more worried about performance on the pitch just now, and I think obviously the games have been called off. Losing 3-0 away to Kilmarnock in the manner which they did, Kilmarnock thoroughly deserved it that day, but performances on the park for Aberdeen throughout the season just haven't been consistent. So for me, I still think there's a lot to fix at Aberdeen. I really do. As much as Jimmy Tilleen came away with that Scottish Cup winners medal, they've brought in a lot of signings, and there's not many of them you can really say that have had a real impact in the Aberdeen team. So I do think you're now touching on the amount of days you've spoke about there. They have to get someone appointed and fast. I know they were going to go the European route. I felt that was going to be the case. I know we've all spoke about it. Guys like John McGlynn, why are they not fancied for that sort of job? It is really interesting. But I think the Aberdeen fans now, I think patience is wearing a bit thin.
Yeah, because I looked back on this is how long ago it was. The day they get rid of Jimmy Tilleen, David Martindale was the bookie's favourite to go. And that will not be happening now. That seems such a long time with everything that's happened. Robbie, did you apply?
No, I didn't actually. No, I'm quite happy over here, mate. Yeah, so wait and see what happens on this side. I'm in this City group now, so I'm quite enjoying being. And I think I felt that when the Jimmy Tilleen left, I felt with a new sporting director come in, that they would probably go for a foreign manager, just the way he was talking and things like that. But I just think it's whoever comes in, if it isn't the boy Hornland that comes in, whoever comes in now is probably going to get looked at as second, potentially third or fourth choice. That's the difficulty of it. And I think that I totally understand their decision that they want to, get the right guy in. But, in my opinion, a sporting director, even when the manager's doing really well, should have a list of 3 or 4 targets. He's number 1, he's number 2, he's number 3. That's who you should have. And because you never know if, so I don't know what's happening at Hearts, but the sporting director in there, Derek's doing really well. So next week, if they win tonight, somebody could come and take Derek. They should have a list of 3 people that are going, right, that's the guy we're going for. Can I get him? Get him. Can I get him? Get him. So you have to be prepared for the success and the failure. So I just think it's taking too long. And I think it's you look at the transfer window again, January, I think 6 players in, 9 players out. And it's another massive turnover after, I think, 15 players going out in the summer. They really need to get a bit of stability. But one thing I will say about the Aberdeen one is that, I saw in the papers that the manager was over earlier in the week. And if you're going to pick a time for him to come over, it's a world record, no sunshine in Aberdeen, 18 days. He lands on the Monday, he's there until the Friday, and he's still not seen the sun. And he's thinking, right, I've maybe got an opportunity to go to a club in Spain. Where am I going?
It's when I saw that he'd been up there, because it seemed like this was a done deal last week.
I know.
And it's still
it's so. If you're even for Peter leaving, I think it's very difficult for Peter, because Peter will be getting, seeing the stuff in the news, saw these kind of things, and then turning up every morning to go and take the team, and players will be speaking about it as well. So he's trying to get his authority onto the team and his ideas, but his players in the back will be going, well, he's probably not going to be here tomorrow, and then needs to take another game. So I think they really, they really need to get it sorted. Give somebody a chance to come in. If it's Hornland, great, fantastic. Let's see how he does, But somebody that can come in and actually see the team and give them a direction for a little bit of time.
Scott, what do you make of taking this length of time? Do you think that's the right approach? Because Robbie mentioned there about whoever comes in, if it's not Hornland, they could be second, third choice. A lot of people think Danny Roll was that. You could see Rangers chasing down, and then he's come in, set the world not ablaze, but he's done very, very well and winning games ugly at the start and now comfortably beating teams 8-0 and stuff like that. For you, does it matter how long it takes if they get the right guy?
I just think that length of time and you're not consistent with performances and winning games. I think the players do talk in the changing room. I think Robbie touched on it there with Peter leaving, and a lot of them have a good relationship with him because he's been there for so long. It's like there's an inevitability about it. Just waiting, is he going to be in today? Is he not? I think just that sort of feeling and uncertainty isn't necessarily a good thing for a playing squad, especially when guys are out of contract at the end of the season. So they're probably every day training's a chance to impress who's going to be there if you're going to get a new contract. All these sort of factors do weigh into it. So I do think it's a lot. I'm surprised they haven't got someone in already. And I don't know if he's touching on the Eric Hornland coming over and the weather, not being able to see him play. He'll be sitting there weighing his options up as well. That's the nature of the beast in football. So for me, Danny Rowe is the one to look to because he wasn't number one favourite. I think that's well known, and he managed to come in and stabilise the club over a period of time. Get to January and it looks like they've done a good bit of business. There's no reason why that can't be the same at Aberdeen.
Yeah. What for yourself, Scott? You've obviously got into the coaching side of things. You're at East Kilbride just now. Robbie's nailed his colours to the mast there. Not looking for a job in Scotland because he's probably third favourite for Mumbai City or something like that the next time they're looking for a new manager. What's your aspirations? Because you're one of the best dressed pundits we've got, and then you add in some coaching. Are you looking to do management in the long term?
Yeah, I think long term. Yeah. The biggest thing for me was obviously retiring in the summer and doing a variety of things. I think that was important for me. So the punditry, coaching at a first team level, and then coaching with some of the high potential talent at Dundee United, around about 15, 16. So you're just getting a feel for all different things. So I'm still a long way away from that. I'm on the early part of my coaching development. So it's just, for me, it's just about learning. I think that's the main thing. Robbie's nailed it. He's part of the City group now, so as he says, he could end up anywhere, and he'll have access to a great database the next time he goes into a job. So
I'm sure
he might be looking for a coach anyway down the line. Anyway.
That's what. Imagine Robbie gets appointed in Brazil and takes me and you as his co-managers. That'd be amazing. I'm up for that, Robbie. If you've got a suntan lotion budget, I'm not against it. Robbie, as someone who got into management so young, like, what age were you when you went to Leicester? 35, 36? You'd always been at Hearts for a couple of years already?
I started coaching when I was like 30, full-time coaching 32, took over at Hearts at 34.
Madness. So, what advice would you give Scott?
Just doing what he's doing. I think like the big thing, especially when you start, is just like getting on the grass and coaching. That's the biggest thing, because you need to find your own kind of way of coaching. Everyone's different, in a different style. So I think doing that, getting on there, and then just taking in as many games as you can. Contacts nowadays are big. A lot of these, most of the clubs now are going down the multi-club route as well. It's all networking and things like that. So yeah, I think that's a big part of it. But yeah, just education. It's one of the reasons I came out here. Did America for a couple of years, come here. I travel everywhere. I go over to Germany, watch games. I go to Holland and watch games, Belgium, France. So I think it's great just continue to develop.
Yeah, but you can see you get two different management styles. One of you is going for a boring 0-0 draw tonight. The other one's going for 4-3. So we'll see which one the fans want. That's all we got time for. Many thanks to Scott and Robbie, and thank you for listening. Remember, we're here with new episodes of the Scottish Football Podcast bright and early every day. So to make sure you don't miss out, subscribe on BBC Sounds and have push notifications turned on in your phone. It seems like most weeks when we do this on the podcast, we've got a big game coming up, something to look forward to, but I don't think they get any bigger than tonight. Tune in tomorrow morning for all the debrief after the game. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
On BBC Sounds, from life aboard a Russian submarine to chairman of Hearts Football Club.
At this stage, he was the hero.
But as his controversial decisions escalated,
they said, we're going to sack George. And I'm going, you can't do this.
How did Vladimir Romanov go from Hearts saviour to a wanted man?
He caused a whole load of chaos and havoc.
Romanov, Tsar of Hearts. Listen now on BBC Sounds.